If you're a Jeep owner, you know that feeling. You're driving along, everything's fine, and then, boom, a light pops up on your dash. Well, today, we're going to crack the case of one of the most common culprits out there, the P2015 error code. Let's get right into it.
Yep, that's the one. It's that universal signal that something needs your attention. But hey, instead of getting that sinking feeling, I want you to think of it as the start of a mission. Your Jeep is talking to you, and it's just giving you the first clue to solving a puzzle. So, you plug in the code reader, and it spits out P215. Now, the official name is Intake Manifold Runner Position Sensor Performance. I know, it's a mouthful, but let's break it down. Just picture a set of little flaps inside your engine's airway. They open and close to manage airflow, giving you power when you need it and better fuel economy when you're just cruising. This code, P215, is telling us that the sensor watching those flaps is reporting a problem. And just like that, we have our starting point. Okay, so every good detective story starts by lining up the potential culprits, right? So let's do exactly that. We're going to look at the usual suspects that could be triggering this code, and then we'll work through them one by one.
Here's our lineup. It could be anything from a simple wiring problem to a mechanical part, or even the power control module, the PCM, which is basically the engine's brain. Now look, could it be the whole intake manifold or the PCM? Sure, it's possible, but that's pretty rare. The smart way to do this is to be methodical. We start with the most common and easiest things to check first, and that means we're heading straight for the electrical system.
All right, let's roll up our sleeves. The first phase of our mission is to check the electrical pathways connected to that sensor. You can think of these wires as the engine's nervous system. If something's wrong here, you're going to get weird messages.
And we're going to follow a really simple three-step plan. First, we'll check the power going to the sensor. Makes sense, right? Second, we'll test the signal circuit that sends information back to the computer. And third, we'll make absolutely sure it has a solid ground connection. Let's tackle suspect number 1.
Our first stop is the 5-volt supply circuit. This is literally the wire that delivers the power the sensor needs to even turn on and do its job. If it's not getting the right amount of juice, it can't work properly, and it's going to throw that P2215 code.
And here's the great news. Checking this is super straightforward. The problem is almost always an open circuit, like a break in the wire, or a shorted circuit, where it's touching metal it shouldn't be. Either way, the voltage will be off. You just grab a multimeter, test it, and if that reading isn't what it's supposed to be, you've found your problem right there.
Next on the list is the manifold flow valve, or MFV, signal circuit. So, if the supply circuit we just checked is the power line coming in, this wire is the communication line going out. It's how the sensor tells the engine's computer what those little flops are doing so it can adjust performance on the fly. And you're probably noticing a pattern here. Just like the supply circuit, the way we diagnose this is exactly the same. We're looking for an open or shorted wire that's messing up the voltage reading. Find the bad spot in the wire, fix it up, and you might be done. This kind of consistency makes the whole job so much easier. Okay, our last electrical check is the sensor ground circuit. And I can't stress this enough. This one is absolutely critical. A bad ground is, no joke, one of the biggest causes of weird, hard-to-diagnose electrical problems in any car. Without a solid connection to ground, the sensor's readings are basically just garbage. Now, the important thing here is that checking this is a little different. We're not just looking at numbers on a meter. This is more of a physical inspection. You need to get your eyes on it. You're looking for frayed wires, any signs of corrosion, or even just a bolt that's vibrated loose over time. Find the damage, clean it up, tighten it down, and you might have just solved the whole mystery. So let's say you've done your homework. You've checked all 3 circuits, and everything is perfect. The voltage is spot on, the ground is solid, but that dang P2015 code is still there. So what now? Well, this is where our investigation pivots. We move from the electrical to the mechanical.
This brings us to our next prime suspect. See, if all the wiring is good, then the problem is probably with the part itself. The manifold flow valve, the actual component that the sensor is watching, can just plain fail. It can get gunked up and stuck, or just wear out. And that's what's causing the sensor to send that error message.
And unlike chasing down an electrical gremlin, the fix here is pretty direct. There's not much to test on the valve itself. If you've confidently ruled out all the wiring, then the component is the problem. The solution is simple and clear. You replace the manifold flow valve, and that should resolve the issue for good.
And just like that, you've done it. You went from having a mysterious light on your dash to a clear, actionable solution. You basically became a detective for your own Jeep, and you cracked the code. So let's just quickly run through the game plan one more time.
So remember these key steps, all right? P2015 is pointing you to the intake manifold runner.
You always start with the simple stuff first. The electrical circuits. Check the power, check the signal, and check the ground. If all of those look good, your prime suspect becomes the manifold flow valve itself. Following this logical process is the key to not getting frustrated and not wasting money on parts you don't need.
And, this is the most important takeaway from all of this. Fixing your own vehicle, it isn't some kind of dark art that only master mechanics can do. By following a clear plan and just understanding what the code is telling you, you absolutely have what it takes to diagnose and fix this issue yourself.
You've just turned a problem into knowledge. You took that check engine light, you figured out what it meant, and you took control of the situation. So the only real question left is, now that you've cracked this code, what are you going to tackle next?